guard that joined in.
Alright, I can't find it. If it keeps happening, though, I'll have to switch to my other Wi-Fi network. We have both.
Are you
5
just
and
sitting
2.
there bashing each other? It looks like you're just bashing.
Yeah, we're just bashing.
Are you doing
Okay, everybody going back, Jerpy.
No, wait.
Yeah,
Bash
everybody,
him to death.
everybody over here, we're bashing him to death.
Wait. I don't think I can sustain this.
No other abilities, just bash.
He's laughing pretty well there.
Did better than I thought. Okay, let's just... Oh my god.
Oh, he's killing.
Oh my god!
Oh, hey,
The alt works! The alt works! The alt works!
What ult did you use?
That was Sanctum of the Abyssal Sea.
Oh, no fucking way.
Hello everyone, I'm Euphonia and welcome to my Arcanist build guide for the Necrom chapter. I have been playing this class a lot on PTS, and when it came out, I'm recording this on Tuesday, it came out yesterday, I grinded it to max immediately. To preface this, Arcanist does not fit well in the current meta. It doesn't have enough damage to kill the tanky builds that are very prevalent everywhere in the game, and it in of itself has way too much tankiness when some of that should have been put into damage. All in all, for probably the worst class in the current PvP meta, I invested so much gold into this to get this done day one because I promised to myself I was going to be an Arcanist main because it looks cool. Anyway, let's get started. So first thing you're gonna do when you're making your Arcanist is choosing the race. Sorry about my cough. I'm a bit sick right now. So when you choose your race, you are I believe the two best races are Breton and Imperial. The reason for that is Arcanist abilities cost a lot of resources. They're very expensive. Arcanist gets a lot of recovery from their passive, their passives, so you don't need to build into it. But they still lack in sustain for the two reasons that their abilities are expensive and the class as a whole sort of encourages you to build into lower max resources of anything except for health. So as a result of that, it's a bit hard to sustain, and Breton and Imperial will give you the most benefit. Additionally, it's better to get sustain from your race than it is to get it from a Mundus or enchants because you can maximize returns from enchants in a Mundus better to give you a more efficient use of resources in your build. Other good races are Orc. If you are playing a pure stam, the movement speed is nice, but pure stam barely exists because you're either going to be playing pure mag or pure hybrid because of this class's damage shield. The other race that still works is High Elf because it gives you damage reduction while you're channeling the beam. The beam is a very, very high damage skill when it lands, and so I would recommend if you want to get damage from your racial passives, you would probably want to go High Elf. I know there's also a lot of people who want to RP as a Dark Elf for the new Morrowind chapter, and I mean, that's fine, but all of the races I already mentioned, in my opinion, outperform Dark Elf. This is my attribute allocation. I have 23 in mag, 26 in health, 15 in stamina. My health is not quite at 30k. You can build a lot tankier and get a lot more return from your shield if you went 64 into health, but the build I'm playing right now, I wanted to get more damage out of it because I felt like, in my personal opinion, I prefer playing builds that can kill people than builds that will tank people. If you've seen any of my previous build guides, they are normally a lot more focused on dealing damage than some of the builds in the existing meta. The reason I have more points into Magicka, and I'm a Breton, is because although I am a hybrid build, I want my max mag to be higher than my max stam, so that my spammable rune blades cost Magicka. That's because I'm able to, some of my other skills, like Vigor, Blood Craze, Fulminating Rune, those all cost stamina, and those are some of the skills I'm using more often, and I need to balance it. I felt like getting Rune Blades to cost Magicka was the best way to do that. It feels the best to me, and in my testing, it ended up returning the best. My Mundus is the Lover. That's because I don't have major breach on my build. There's a tweak you can make to get major breach. That then I would switch this to either the Warrior or Apprentice. They're both the same. My food is Jewels of Misrule / Orzorga. Orzorga is how I would get up to 30k health, but I'm currently running cheap food because I spent 10 million gold yesterday to finish this build out. I am Vampire Stage 3. This is incredibly useful on any class that uses a damage shield like Arcanist or Sorcerer, because your damage shield gets the mitigation from Vamp 3, so it allows you, despite you being at low health and people's executes hitting you, it allows your shields to be able to withstand executes that are coming at you. These are my unbuffed stats on front bar. Buffed resistance is up to 29k, spell 27.6k, physical. Spell will go above cap because I am a Breton in combat. And I believe this is active as well, which increases my armor. Okay. So, my build is, it's a little bit, cringe. We do a little procking. So, Arcanist, in my opinion, needs 2 damage sets to be able to efficiently kill people. It's able to survive decent enough without any other sets. If you want to go open world, you want to tank more people, you can replace one of the damage sets with a survivability set. And there are different setups that I've found to be similarly viable. On my front bar, I'm running Draugr. This is the best damage set for Arcanist because it's increasing the damage of every single tick of Rune Blades. Every single dot I have going, it increases the tick of. This itself does damage. That gets increased. All of the status effects get increased. This gets increased. And most importantly, this ticks twice a second. It gives so much DPS to Tide King's Gaze. It is a great set, and in my opinion, if you are running Fate Carver, which is an option, I'll get into that later, it increases Fate Carver's damage in PvP more so than Deadly, and it also increases escalating Rune Blades. It might be a little less than Deadly with Fate Carver, but it's a similar damage amount, but it also increases Rune Blades, so it's just a better set than Deadly Strike. You can also run Dragon's Appetite if you're running Masters to get a bit of healing proc, but I like the pen that I get from this, and I like the mag recovery and the max mag. So I'm running Draugr on weapon, my 2 pieces of jewelry, and my belt. My jewelry is fully bloodthirsty with spell damage enchants to get a bit more mag recovery out of it. If you feel like your sustain is lacking, you can put a reduced spell cost glyph on. It's easy enough to get your stamina back with heavy attacks from either dual wield or two-handed, and with a low stamina pool, those are pretty common in my rotation, especially because of how passive this class plays. I am heavy attacking a lot, so I would probably say reduce spell cost if you're going to choose one of them. It won't reduce your damage that much. It'll just make it a bit more comfortable to play. To reduce mag cost here would be perfectly fine, especially if you're running Fate Carver, then it makes a big difference, a massive difference. I have, my mythic is Malakath's Band of Brutality. Sea Serpent's Coil is also good, Markin's is also good, Pale Order works as well, but with the existence of Snake in the Stars, if you run Pale Order, it's basically a death sentence if you get that debuff on you. This class, the reason I didn't say Khajiit, and I would not recommend running Khajiit at all, despite you getting 12% crit damage from here, and a morph of this, which allows you to get Brittle, so you can get 22% critical damage from the class. This class does not work well as a crit build because it has absolutely zero burst skills. The only damage skills from this class, the only, I would say, actually excellent damage skill from this class is Runeblaze. It's the best range spammable in the game. But Fate Carver is inconsistent as hell. I don't like running it, and everything else is just dots, which means Malakath is going to increase your damage more than anything else that you can do, and unlike Sea Serpent, you don't get snared with Malakath, and you don't necessarily need the weapon and spell damage that Sea Serpent gives, because you don't need it for healing, because all your healing is based off of max health. So then my final set is Way of Fire. I have two proc sets. I have Draugr and Way of Fire. I know, cringe. This set is absolutely incredible. Let me see at some CMXs. It's constantly top damage dealer in addition to Master's Dual Wield. It's just a very, very, very strong proc set. If you want to replace a set for a defensive set, though, I would replace Way of Fire because it's both Bard. You can run a set like Wretched Vitality, although in my opinion that is a complete waste, because if you look at my buffed up recoveries, I am sitting at 2.5k mag recovery, 2.2k stamina recovery without Sustained by Suffering active. You do not need more recovery, it is overkill. Reduce cost is the best way to get sustain on this class. So, a defensive set that, in my opinion, is pretty underlooked but works very well on this class is Crest of Cyrodiil. This set hasn't been good since it started scaling with max health instead of just being an actual just flat heal. But if you want to run two 5p sets in a monster set, you can get rid of Master's dual wield back bar, put Crest of Cyrodiil back bar, just stack everything into HP. You get like an 8k Crest of Cyrodiil tooltip and a 30k damage shield tooltip, and you become very, very tanky. If you want to keep a arena weapon back bar for the proc damage, you can use a set like Hissap, although that makes you full light, which will reduce your survivability and max health. Or you can excuse me. You can Mara's still works. It's still a decent amount of healing, and it's a purge. The dots are heavy in the current state of the game. It's a purge. It's still a useful set, and it's heavy armor. Something else you could do, you could go with a different damage set, like fuck. You could go with like Burning Spellweave or Deadly Strike on body. Burning Spellweave will give you a bit of damage. You will be proccing it with I have a Flame Glyph on back bar. But overall, I think these are the two best sets to go with. There's not a ton of defensive options that are like truly defensive. Rallying Cry also works, but again, full light. Same with Burning Spellweave. In my opinion, these are the two best damage sets, not just in my opinion, in my testing as well. I'm running One Piece Magma Incarnate. It's all I have room for. It's just a bit more recoveries. If you have a monster set, the ones that work well on this class are Marsalak, because you have a lot of status effects and debuffs. Roxa for sustain, even though you will get crazy high recoveries. In my testing on PTS, I think I had a build that had like 3.4k mag recovery with Roxa, not building like actually into sustain much at all. Balorg is very good to maximize the damage of Tide King's Gaze. Zol is good as a defensive set. Those are the monster sets I'd stick with, the normal meta ones. And then, of course, my back bar set, I'm running Master's Perfected Swords. I have swords because I don't need crits for Rallying Cry. They increase the damage of Vigor. The healing of Vigor. I have one powered because that increases the heal of this. I could try two powered, but I already had Nirnhoned on this one and didn't feel like spending 50 transmutes on it. You don't need Perfected. I have Perfected, but I have one Flame, one Poison Glyph. Because Blood Craze is a weapon skills dot, I believe even if you're on your front bar, it will still proc the enchants, although I might be confusing it with AoE dots instead of single target. Do not quote me on that. Anyway, I have 3 reinforced on these pieces. This piece can be reinforced as well, and head or shoulder could be Magma Incarnate. I have 1 medium, 1 light to get the 5/1/1, 5 heavy to maximize my max HP. I am missing a lot of passives because I only spent like 4 hours yesterday running through public dungeons. So you can get a lot more, you can get higher stats than what I have, and just more bonuses than what I have, because I'm missing a lot of passives. So 3 Bloodthirsty, magic damage, 1 spell, reduced spell cost, cannot hurt at all, it'll make it easier to play. Full Prismatic Glyphs, weapon damage enchant on a sharpened maul front bar, and then flame damage, poison damage. The other thing is, you can switch this to Vatron Eightstaff. I don't actually have it on my account, and I didn't feel like grinding that yesterday, but then you would put Elemental Susceptibility in this slot. You get Major Breach. You can switch this to Warrior Stone or Apprentice Stone. That's it for the gear. I'll move on to the skills. First, I have Escalating Rune Blades. This is, as I said, the best range spendable in the game. The cost is determined by your higher max resource, which is why I spec'd a little bit more into Magicka to get this costing Magicka, because that felt better to me. Each time the first Rune Blade does the least, and the third does the most. The third also does AoE damage. I have not tested this against groups of players in PvP, but when I was running through public dungeons, I'm not going to say the ads are that hard to kill, but the AoE damage on this last rune alone was melting the ad packs probably almost as fast as my PvE Nightblade. So this is a pretty good AoE pressure skill. Next, I have Rune of Uncanny Adoration. This charms and gives minor vulnerability. It's an undodgeable stun. It is blockable. Basically, to counter an Arcanist, you just tap block. When you see it come on you, it's pretty obvious. I'll show it to you. It's like that little green thing around you. You just tap block when that's around you. I don't have the Brittle Morph because I feel like the charm is more useful with the ultimate and keeping people in a distance where you can heavy attack for sustain. Next, I have Executioner. This is the entire reason I'm running two-handed. This class needs an Execute. Its only damage skill is Rune Blades and an ultimate. There are some other things, but they're not like that great. The way you're going to finish people off is with an Execute. You can, if you do a other build, you can do 5-piece set on body, master dual wield front bar, Vate Ice back bar. If you do something like that, you will want Whirling Blades as your Execute, or you can also use this skill, the specifically the Stam Morph of it, that gives it an Execute scaling equal to Whirling Blades. But Whirling Blades is around you, it's very hard to escape from, it's very easy to hit people with, and it's cheap. This is expensive, it has a cast time, it's in front of you, and wildly inconsistent. It does give an Immobilize and a damage increase debuff, but in my opinion, it's not worth it. If you are, if you do feel like you need the the AoE CC, if you're being attacked by tons of people in PvP, the Immobilize from this might work out, and I guess you could replace it for Executioner. But at that point, I would either go Inferno Staff front bar, or Master's Dual Wield front bar and Vate Ice back bar. So then I have Inspired Scholarship. This gives, slotting it on either bar gives you Major Brutality, Major Sorcery. I have it slotted front bar because it's 991 more pen. Every 3 seconds you get a buff that makes it when you hit someone with any Arcanist ability, it deals that 3,725 damage. It's not a great dot, but it is added pressure. Because my spammable's Rune Blades, I'm getting that damage pretty consistently. I have the morph that reduces the cooldown of the buff from 5 seconds to 3 seconds. The other morph makes it so every time it hits, it restores 600 stam and mag, which gives you 120, the equivalent of 120 magic and stamina recovery. It is pretty useful for sustain, but I haven't felt like I needed the sustain. I have felt like I needed the damage. If you want the sustain, that is your prerogative to choose the morph of this. Finally, my last skill is Fulminating Rune. This is a targeted dot, but it places it on everyone in a 5-meter radius around them. It lasts 20 seconds, and after 6 seconds, it explodes, dealing damage to everyone within 7 meters of the initial target. This skill is incredibly good for organized small-scale PvP because of this final paragraph. Up to 3 allies near the initial target can activate the Rune Break synergy, dealing 9,482 frost damage to enemies within 7 meters. This is a Boneyard synergy, but no cooldown on how many people can activate it. Boneyard, 1 person can activate it, that's it. This, 3 people can activate it at once with their alt dumps, so you can burst people down in, say, a battleground super easily if you're in an organized group. It's also an AoE dot. This paired with this gave really insane AoE pressure. Let me just show it off for a bit. If you look at my DPS in the bottom left, I have it just like it's like 37k consistent DPS. It's actually very, very strong damage in a group. When I was going through public dungeons, I would throw this on a group, use like 2 rune blades. Eventually this would explode because I would have thrown this on, then ran past, and then used the rune blades as I'm walking backwards. And I was melting ad packs. I'm sure it will provide very good damage, passive damage against players in PvP, even though this is mostly a single target dot with a tiny bit of delayed burst. So if you look at this, the 3rd rune blade did a ton of damage. Fulminating rune, the dot did pretty good AoE pressure, and the burst doesn't hit that hard, but it's still damage. The other morph of this can also be very, very good if you are not in an organized group. For solo play, I would probably say the other morph is way better because it pulls people into it, meaning you pull, use Tide King's Gaze, and spam some rune blades, you are doing a ton of AoE damage. This can be replaced for Fate Carver if you don't want this. Fate Carver is going to be very, very good against people who don't know what they're doing, but I have mostly been fighting against people who understand how to counter it, especially from my time on PTS, and all you need to do if someone's beaming you is this. And that, you just fully counter the beam. It's really bad and inconsistent against someone who's not lagging and is smart enough to sidestep it. So that's my front bar. My back bar is Cruxweaver Armor. This is my major resolve buff. It also gives minor breach to anyone that attacks me, and it also generates Crux every 5 seconds. Impervious Rune Ward, this is my damage shield. It's 11k in PvP. You can get this up way higher by pumping health, but I couldn't sustain with my current builds on that low of other stats. So that's what I'm at now. This is a ridiculously strong damage shield. It also gives a bit of damage to other people, and this is my one skill that consumes Crux. I build Crux with rune blades, and then I consume it with this, and it gives me a 12k burst heal based on my max health. So that scales up more with the more max health I have. It also will scale if this other one is powered. Then I have Resolving Vigor. This isn't fully leveled yet, but it gives minor resolve, and it's a heal over time. So I pop this, I get a bit of passive healing going on under it that keeps me alive. Then I have Zenith's Empowering Disc. This gives all 3 minor recovery buffs, and it gives minor courage, which is 215 weapon and spell damage. It's a very, very good buff. In my opinion, worth running. I know a lot of Arcanists have not been running it, but I personally would not take this off. It also, this morph makes it stay on you for 10 seconds after leaving. You won't be able to camp this all the time, especially because I'm on a melee build, even though rune blades can be used from camping inside of here. But so I'm inside of here right now, and I have all the buffs, but I run out, and you know, it doesn't look like they're sticking on me, but I have the buffs just didn't even apply. So I have minor courage, minor fortitude, minor intellect, minor endurance, and they did not stick. So that's a bug that they're supposed to stay on you. Maybe don't use this morph right now if it doesn't stay. And then finally on my back bar is my flex slot. I am using Blood Craze because I have Master's Dual Wield. If you use Vedashrin Ice Staff, you would go Elemental Susceptibility here, and if you use 2 5P sets, one front bar, one back bar, like Crest of Cyrodiil, this slot here can either be Elemental Susceptibility for the pen, or it can be this ridiculously strong ability right here that gives you Minor Resolve, Minor Protection, and the morph that you use is called, it's, Rune of, I don't fucking know. It's the morph that gives you, CC immunity. But this gives you a burst heal whenever you drop below 50% health based on your max HP, and it gets rid of the minor protection. The morph that you use also gives you CC immunity upon that activating, and gives you a like 2k armor. So it's a very, very strong survivability tool. You become basically unkillable as long as you can sustain it, because you use like Crest of Cyrodiil back bar, you get a heal that scales on max HP, you stack everything into health, you have a damage shield that scales on max HP with a burst heal from it, and then a burst heal that gives you CC immunity anytime you drop below 50% health, and it is instant. Because when I've used this before, if I drop below 50% health, I only notice it if I'm staring intently at my health bar, because it jumps immediately to 75% or something. It is really, really, really strong. And then my back bar alt is Sanctum of the Abyssal Sea. This is a defensive alt, but it's also offensive. If there's a lot of people on you, you pop it, you still need to heal up, but it mitigates a lot of the incoming pressure. And once it is either destroyed or the 10 seconds are up, it puts a dot around you that deals 1/6 of the damage it took every second for 10 seconds with 6 total ticks. The 0 tick is at 2 seconds, at 4 seconds, at 6 seconds, at 8 seconds, and at 10 seconds. This damage is not buffed by anything in the game except for Malakath, Draugr, and things of the similar sort. Which is part of the reason I'm running Malakath. If I can find you a duel where I use this. It's very strong damage, a very strong defensive ultimate. And for having this ability right here slotted, I get 10% increased damage shield strength, which increases this and this. So then, moving on to CP, my blue CP, I have Cleansing Revival. This is currently bugged to work at any percent of health. So it's better than Mara's heal, because Mara's is a 24-second cooldown. Anytime you heal yourself, you remove all debuffs from yourself. It's very, very good. My next CP is Duelist Rebuff. This is 6% less damage taken from single target. As a class, you get Minor Evasion with 100% uptime. So you don't need direct damage from Ironclad. It's better to go Duelist Rebuff and get the single target dot reduction, because this reduces AoE dots and AoE direct damage. So between Duelist Rebuff and this, you have all damage types that can be incoming covered with mitigation. Then I'm running Deadly Aim and Master Arms as 2 damage CPs. I have tried Force of Nature. I don't feel like it's consistent enough penetration on this class, even though I am lacking for penetration. And then red CP is very simple. It's normal Pain's Refuge, Sustained by Suffering, Survival Instincts that you run on every build. And then instead of Celerity, I'm running Bastion because, again, my survivability is entirely tied to a damage shield. That's the build. So changes you can make, you can run Inferno Staff front bar, Ice Staff back bar, you can run a 5-piece set front bar, 5-piece set back bar. You can switch to a defensive set. You can run Master's Vate with a 5-piece set like Dragon's Appetite, and then have a monster set too. There's many options for the build. This is personally what I have found to be the most fun and successful. I also highly recommend running two-handed because Executioner feels like the best way to secure kills on this class because that is the class's biggest weakness. Anyway, thank you for watching. I hope you enjoy. If you have any questions, feel free to leave them in the comments of the video. I'll get back to them as soon as I can. If you enjoyed this video, please consider subscribing and have a great day. Peace.